Hello, everybody. Welcome. Sorry for the delay tonight, folks. Our guest tonight is the great Gail Rae-Garwood, blogger of Slow It Down, CKD fame, award-winning author, kidney advocate, and kidney educator. Gail is a woman with two adult daughters, a husband, and apparently a very protective dog. And just like 31 million of us, she suffers from chronic kidney disease. She was blindsided over a decade ago at the age of 60 when she started seeing a new doctor who was covered on her insurance plan and a little closer to home. The new primary care physician ordered a battery of tests which showed, much to Gail's surprise, that her kidney function was only at 39%. She was then referred to a nephrologist the very next day. Unfortunately, he was one of these it's my way or the highway type of guys, and Gail didn't find that helpful. Gail needed to know what was happening and why. She changed nephrologists. The new one was a much better fit for her. And in response to her initial experiences with kidney doctors, Gail wrote, "What is it and how did I get it? Early stage chronic kidney disease." Gail's previous experience teaching research writing in college prompted her to research the topic, and then she shared what she learned. And after she finished the book, she began her new famous weekly blog, Slow It Down, CKD, no spaces, to help answer questions for kidney patients worldwide. She learned that she was not going to die, but she could actually slow down the effects of CKD, thus the name. The blog has won several awards, as Gail writes in a very reader-friendly manner. Many of her readers asked her if she could print the blogs, which have turned into a series of books, Slow It Down CKD, which started in 2013 through the current book in 2023. And by the way, I love the new red cover.
Oh, I thought I'd be daring.
Gail continues to write very high quality blogs, and we will discuss some of her more recent ones in a little detail. Please give a warm welcome to your friend and my friend, the award-winning author, Gail Rae-Garwood is with us tonight. Gail, how are you?
Pretty good. I just had a hip replacement and I'm on opioids, and apparently I don't do very well with opioids. So my apologies for the timing mistake tonight.
No worries. We're going to take good care of you, my friend.
Thank you.
Did I state everything correctly in the introduction?
I started the books 2011. So it's 2011 to 2023 so far, because this year isn't over yet.
Right. Please tell us a little bit about where you grew up, your education, and your employment experiences.
I grew up in a teeny little suburb in Long Island, which is in New York. And it's funny, the house seemed awfully big to me. But then when I took my children to see where mommy grew up, it seemed awfully small to me. What else? For some reason, my parents moved into Rego Park, which is Queens, also a borough in New York. And that's where I went to junior high school and high school. Don't remember too much about it. Then I went to Hunter College, and my undergraduate degree is in English and education, and my master's degree is in communication and education. That was so long ago. I wrote my master's thesis on coaxial cables. Nobody even knows what they are anymore. Look at your face. Nobody knows what they are. Oh, gosh. Let's see. Moved into the city, New York City, that is. Worked little jobs here and there. And I say little jobs. For me, that means not a career job, just a job that I could make some money at while I was going to school. and knew absolutely nothing about kidneys, knew very little about my health at all. And then 2008, I was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, and my reaction, you have to see it to understand the title of the book. My reaction was, what is that? And how did I get it? So that's when I wrote the first book. And at that time, I had been teaching high school and college in New York. And at that time, I had moved to Arizona and I was teaching only college. So, what do they give the new teachers? The hardest courses to teach. So, I got research writing. And my first reaction was, does this have any numbers involved in it? So, in order to teach it, I had to learn it. And I loved it. It was so methodical, so step by step, but yet within those steps, you had the opportunity to explain your point of view and give your research. So I started researching for myself. What is this that I have, this CKD that I never heard of? And my basic tenet is that we're here to serve others. So it made no sense for me not to share what I had, because I really thought I was going to die immediately. I didn't understand that it's a progressive disease. And that's how the book started. The blog started when a doctor in Chennai, India, wanted his clients to have the book, but they couldn't even afford bus fare to the clinic. So the deal was I would like blog one topic a week, one chapter. And he would Xerox it with an old-fashioned Xerox machine that we used to use in high schools when I was teaching. And his clients would bring it back to their villages. And that seemed to work very well. And when I finished the chapters in the book, I was not ready to stop writing because I was still researching. Nephrologists say a word I didn't understand, boom, there's 1,000-word blog. Somebody asked me a question about my own condition and I couldn't answer it, 1,000-word blog. Somebody would call me up and say, I was wondering if you could help me. To which my first response was, I'm not a doctor, right? Because I'm not a doctor. And then they'd ask the question and I'd say, well, I will get you an answer, providing you agree to go to your doctor before you take any action. So the questions just kept coming. And the words I didn't know just kept coming and coming and coming and coming. And the blog has been up now for probably since 2010. So that's 13 years. I can't believe I have 13 years worth of topics. But there's more. I have a whole list. You can't see it, but it's on my desk. And that's about
Well, just so our audience knows, if you go to my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, I have posted the original broadcast on that page. In the comments to that broadcast, I've posted everything that I could find about Gail Rae-Garwood. And that would include where to get her books, and the first one to the last one, even though I got the dates wrong, and all the other things that she's talking about. So if you want to drill down a little bit and learn about Gail, all that information is there. And as usual, I recommend you do that before the broadcast ends, because once the broadcast ends, StreamYard creates an instant replay. So that will no longer be pinned to the top. That'll go back down to its original spot. But there's a lot of information there, and you might find it helpful. And that includes where you can get Gail's new blogs. So let's talk about your family for a moment. I understand that you're a married lady with 2 adult children.
Yes. One girl, they're both daughters, but one of my girls stayed in New York. She was going to kind of finish up her affairs, so to speak, about her job and where she was living, and then come out in about 3 weeks. that was over 22 years ago. So I don't think she's coming out. And then one I brought with me, she was 17 at the time, and she is now married and has a career, and the two most wonderful little boys. One is almost 2, and the other is almost 5. And just thinking about them is enough to make me really, really happy. And I had pancreatic cancer at just about the same time my Arizona daughter became pregnant. And all I could think of was, there's no way I'm succumbing to this. I want to meet these children. And now I want to see them grow up.
Great. Great. Let's talk about your initial experiences with chronic kidney disease. I understand that you started seeing a new doctor, a PCP, primary care physician, covered under your insurance plan and lived a little closer to home. And she ordered a battery of tests on your first visit. And were you feeling ill at the time that you were tested, or did this all come as a complete surprise?
Such a complete surprise. I didn't even know where my kidneys were. I didn't know how many I had. So this was
Okay.
a complete surprise.
Approximately when did this take place, or when you first found out that you had chronic kidney disease?
Was in 2008. I think it was in June of 2008. Because I remember one of my girls was getting married and I was going back to New York for the wedding. And I was saying to myself, okay, so how am I going to handle all these lifestyle changes that I have to do for this new disease that I'd never heard of before, and be the mother of the bride? It worked out.
Right, right. Um, I understand that they told you that your GFR was only, your kidneys were only functioning at about 39%. How did that make you feel? How did you react?
I reverted to my teaching, and I said something like 39%. 39, that's failing. We need to talk about this. And we did, because I probably mentioned this to you already. But when I was teaching high school in New York, if somebody got 39 on the test, you talk about it. You try to find out the problem and help. But, if it could go down to 39 without my knowing anything about it, could it go to 0 without my knowing anything about it? That was a big question in my mind.
It's a very good question, too. Um, I understand that you were referred to a nephrologist like the next day after you discovered that you had chronic kidney disease and only functioning at 39%. But that doctor was not a good fit. Can you explain why he was not a good fit?
First of all, getting a specialist appointment the very next day spoke to panic in my mind. You don't get a specialist appointment the very next day. Maybe you do out here, but I had just come from New York, and you don't in New York. And when I spoke to him, he was having a little problem with eye contact, and I figured, okay, some people don't like eye contact. But boy, he explained things to me, and I asked questions, not understanding a word he said. And then finally, he just turned around and said, just do what I tell you to do. I'll take care of your kidneys, which is not what I wanted to hear. I had been a single mother, raised my 2 girls, been an actor, a writer, a teacher, a professor, and there was no way I was letting anybody take over my life. So one of the nurses saw my face as I left his office, and she took me around the corner and she said, there's another nephrologist you might like a little more. And she wrote his name down on a card and went and made an appointment for me. So that was better. This fellow was very patient, because I wasn't. I was panicky. I was frightened. I did not treat him very well. Luckily for me, he was really gracious about accepting my apologies, continuing to work with me, and explaining as best he could to somebody who didn't know anything.
Okay. I'm almost reluctant to ask this, but I'm curious because in all my research, I couldn't find an answer to this question. What is the current state of your kidney health?
My kidney health?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going back and forth between 45 and 55.
You're talking about percent function.
Yeah, GFR.
Excellent. Have you ever been on dialysis or had a transplant?
Nope.
So from 2008 to the present, you've been able to not only maintain your GFR, but cause it to improve. Can you explain to us how you've done that?
Yes, there are very special circumstances in some areas. For instance, when I was undergoing chemotherapy, they were really careful of my kidneys and they gave me hydration, hydration, hydration. That's when I went up to 55 again and 54 again. And the rest of it is lifestyle changes. I changed the way that I eat. I stopped smoking immediately. I didn't drink. I would exercise like crazy. I was teaching at one of the local colleges, which gave me permission to use the gym because I was teaching there. And I was in that gym at least twice a week, if not 3 times a week. And was watching my sleep. So sleep, exercise, liquor, smoking, food. There's one I'm missing. There's one other change because I remember 6. Very careful about sodium and potassium and phosphorus and protein. When I saw the nephrologist diet, the nephrologist's dietitian recommended 5 ounces of protein a day. And when she showed me with her hand what 5 ounces was, I was astonished. I mean, I didn't think I was that big an eater, but it looked minuscule compared to what I had been eating.
Wow. That is amazing, Gail, that you've been able to improve and maintain this over that period of years from 2008 to the present. My mother told me I'm never supposed to ask a woman how old she is, so we're going to skip that. But that is a
Okay.
long period of
77.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about your experiences as a research writer and a teacher. I understand that you were teaching research writing to college students. Can you talk to us about your background and how that helped you better understand chronic kidney disease?
Mm-hmm. Um, well, I had to teach about references, and that taught me how to spot a good reference and a wonky reference. I also needed to teach the students about having a premise and then the supporting the premise. So there was almost a schemata that we would have up on the board to make it nice and easy. And it made it easier for me to understand the research I was looking at. And since I could understand it, not all of it, I mean, there's still some that just knocks me for a loop. There's a there's a journal called Nature. I can't figure out what they're writing. It's too scientific for me. But I was saying something about research writing, schemata. Oh, and it seemed to me that the students fell into 2 bunches. The one like me that fell into it right away and it made perfect sense. And the ones like the me that had no clue what it was and was hoping desperately numbers weren't involved. So since I could now understand the research I was reading, I could write about it in a reader friendly fashion. So, and that's where, before I got CKD, I used to write study guides, literature study guides. And it was the kind of study guide that you had to read the book. You couldn't just read the study guide, or what are those notes? Fox notes?
Cliff Notes?
Cliff notes, thank you. Or Cliff notes or anything like that. You had to actually read the book. And from that reader friendly thing, I was able to carry it over to the kidney writing. Because really, you think about it, you research, you research, you research. What good is it if nobody understands it? So when I was teaching creative nonfiction writing, I kept telling my students that they are college students, they're graduate students, and they do have a really good vocabulary. But that doesn't mean that their readers are going to. So keep it as simple as you can without pandering to laziness. And that helped a great deal. So that's what I did with the research writing and the writing the books.
Okay. Let's talk for a minute about that first book, what it is and how did I get it, chronic kidney disease. What did you learn in the process of writing that book?
Everything. Everything. I learned about electrolytes. I learned about exercise. I learned about weight. I learned about sleep. I learned about attitude, which is also very important because well, I feel if you're sitting here saying, I'm going to die of CKD and it's going to be really soon, you are, in a way, causing it to happen. You're looking for the negativity instead of the positivity. So my reaction was, no, we're going to look in the positive of this. And I found so many positives. It's like, you have a lifelong disease. You're going to make a positive out of this? And I really didn't have to. It made itself positive. It was a reason to get together with friends, to run together or walk together or gym together, whatever this group was doing that was exercise. And it was a chance to talk about the food that you've been eating and not really thinking about. Like, I remember as a single woman in Brooklyn, one of my friends came up to me and he said, "What's wrong with you?" And my reaction was, I didn't know anything was wrong with me. He says, "You're eating a box of Oreos for dinner. There's something wrong with you." I never thought about things like that, nutrition or percentages. And I made these little charts for how much of each electrolyte you could have and how to count it and add it up at the end of the day. And now we have apps for that. It took me an hour and a half each day to work that out. With the app, 5 minutes.
Wow. Wow. I want to mention some of your other books, and scrolling across the screen now is the link on Amazon to all of Gail's books. So if you're interested in reading some of the things that Gail has written book-wise, there's a good place to start to find the books. Other books that I was able to locate: Portal in Time,
Mm-hmm.
of course, the Slow It Down CKD series, which started in 2011. I
Thank you.
stand corrected. Cancer Dancer, Max Note Guide series. That's the series that she mentioned, the study series. Sort of Dark Places, and Are You Kidding? Did I get all of the books, Gail, or did I miss some?
Um, there were about 12 more study guides. Yeah, about 12 more study guides. Things like Beowulf, uh, Midsummer March. I can't remember what else. It was so long ago. You know, when you get old, you get all these facts in your head and they start leaking out your ears. Too bad they don't take the calories with them.
I wish they did, yeah.
Mhm.
Let's talk a little bit about the beginnings of your award-winning blog, Slow It Down CKD. Again, no spaces. You mentioned the doctor in India and that you started writing weekly blogs so his patients could afford and read it. Talk to us about the Arizona Kidney and Hypertension Control Center clinics. What kind of a relationship did you have with them?
Oh, I am a patient there. Yet, when I go to anything that the city government has, like roundtables, there is my nephrologist sitting right there across from me. So, I mean, it's funny. It's this medical connection, and it's also almost a political connection. Not quite, almost. And I have to say about the blogging, I had no clue what a blog was or how to do it, but my New York daughter did, and she walked me through it. She did a great job.
Okay. And I noticed that you make very extensive use currently of social media, Facebook, Twitter. Are there other platforms that you utilize to publish your blogs?
Instagram, Tumblr, Facebook, you mentioned, X or Twitter, and what
We'll
was
call it Twitter.
Twitter? Okay, and Threads. And then I get a lot of like pingbacks that I'm on this site, that site, the other site that I knew nothing about. I'm not that savvy, so I sort of stick to the ones that I know well. That's my protective dog. Can you hear her?
Right. So just so people know, I have 100 groups on Facebook. There's only one person that I allow to post to my groups without reviewing the post. Because I know that when that one person posts, the things that she posts are quality and they have to do with kidney disease, and it's always something new and it's always something interesting. And that person is with us tonight, Gail Rae-Garwood, my friend. So you want to know where to find Gail's post? You can start on any one of my groups.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
I'm so appreciative of that.
No, not a problem. I'm appreciative of the fact that I'm not the only one that has to post all the goddamn time. I have somebody else post every once in a while.
You know what this reminds me of? The first award that the blog won, I had posted on my private page on Facebook, and I wrote something to the effect of, "Oh my gosh, I won an award. Slow Down CKD has an award." Well, excuse me, the award-winning writer has to go do the dishes now.
How many awards have you won over the course of this time?
That I know of, 3. But as I said, I get pingbacks from things I don't know what they are, and I don't know how to find them.
Okay, well, tell us about the 3 awards that you've won.
Healthline was 2016 and 2017, which I think was the last year they gave awards. And then networked blogs. And then, well, maybe I won 4. There was one about kidney blogs, 6th most important kidney blog, something like that.
Okay. I understand that at some point in time, because people were asking you to print your blogs, that's when you began to actually put them in book form. And a new book comes out approximately every year or so.
Every year.
And the last one that came out was the red book cover in 2023.
I'm so glad I did red. I was getting cautions from people. You don't want to change your cover. You're branded. Okay, I just changed my brand.
Let's talk a little bit about uh, some of your more recent blogs. Um, I have a list, maybe 6 or so long. Um, we're just not compatible. This was for National Donor Month. What was that all about?
Well, uh, donation pairing and donation chains are fairly new. And before that, what they used to do is if you had a donor, but the donor's kidney did not match yours, they would do something called plasma presis, I think it's called. And what that is it's a machine that looks almost like a dialysis machine. And they would take out the antibodies, especially the antibodies against proteins from your blood. And that would forestall any kind of rejection. But it was a copious process, and it was kind of unnecessary. I mean, I don't know who thought of paired donation, but bless that person. So if my kidney doesn't work for you, maybe it works for the guy behind you. That makes more sense to me.
Right, right. You donate on somebody's behalf. That moves the recipient up to the top. Somebody that comes along that matches the recipient, then the recipient gets her kidney because of your efforts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The next blog I want to ask you about deceased kidney donation, living kidney donation. Did you do a contrast and compare type thing?
No, I didn't. What I talked about the fact that to be considered for deceased donation, every effort has to have been taken. The person has to be brain dead. If the person has not indicated that they want to be a survivor, their next, not a survivor, donor, their next of kin can authorize that. And then I divided the living donation into 3 areas. The directed one, that's directly from me to you or you to me. And then, directed relative one. And then if there wasn't a relative, but there was someone else who was willing to give you a kidney, that would be directed non-relative. And then the third kind was the chain or the paired. I think the paired is more common than the chain. And that's the one you just explained a few minutes ago.
All right. And the blog about Donate Life America and National Donate Life Blue and Green Day and Blue and Green Spirit Week, National Pediatric Transplant Week. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, that was a list of the activities that were going on and the reason for the activities, especially for pediatric kidneys. They were trying to abolish the kidney waiting list for children. And we're not so sure, I'm including myself with them, we're not so sure that that could be done, but it sure doesn't hurt to try. And talking about who might be able to donate, like you have to be 18, there's certain other criteria, and who they could donate to, which is kind of moot at this point with donor chains and donor pairing, and activities to make people aware of kidney health and how to stay healthy, like what do they do? The kidney walks, checkups. Keep used to do that out here in Arizona. They would have a massive gathering, and people would have their blood pressure checked and their blood glucose checked. And then, if need be, they would have their kidneys checked.
Okay. Tell us about the blog you wrote about talking with our friend Lisa Thompson.
Yes. Lisa Thompson is just a wonder. She contacted me, must have been 2 years ago, wanting me to join Toastmasters, but I'm neither a recipient nor a donor. And that's what this Toastmasters group was for. But then I thought about it a little bit, and I thought that's wonderful to learn how to speak towards finding your own donor. So I called her back, or I texted her or something, and I asked her if she'd be interested in guest blogging. And that led to another guest blog. And then this year, she showed me the one we're talking about now. And my reaction was, I couldn't have written this any better. So that's where Lisa is.
Okay. National Kidney Month?
Okay. Now, this, I couldn't remember the whole big, long name of the company. So I'll read it to you. This is, okay, this is the wrong one. Okay. This was started by Ada DeBald. Her child was, her infant was diagnosed with nephrosis. So she organized a committee for nephrosis research to try to find some treatments. And her group became the National Kidney Foundation, which to this day fundraises for the necessary research for treatment and prevention. And you can support them by registering yourself, or donating a kidney, or joining a nonprofit, or providing resources of one kind or another. I thought it was really wonderful that it was started by Mother, just like AA, American Association of Kidney Patients, was started by
AAKP.
Mother. And that
Okay.
was what? That was 8 people, and now it's all over the place.
Correct. Correct. World Kidney Day blog.
This is the one with the name I couldn't remember. It's obviously a multi-country joint effort, and it's an initiative of the International Society of Nephrology and the International Federation of Kidney Foundations, World Kidney Alliance. That's a lot. And they work towards saving organs via health policies and healthcare directories and delivery and professionals. And what I found the most important, empowering patients and communities. And their basic tenet is they want to create awareness.
Wow. Wow. You write about a lot of interesting things.
Yeah. I was talking Social Security with a friend, and I said, oh, you know what? The director of Social Security for kidney patients called me up and asked me to help explain how that works. So that was really something. I was helping Social Security help other people.
That's interesting. Let's talk a little bit about some of your kidney advocacy experiences outside of your research and writing. I know that you're part of Otuska's PAC. That's why I thought that you had PKD originally. Bad, Uncle Jim. That's incorrect. Can you tell us about your experiences with the PAC?
Yes. I don't remember how I got involved. I guess I was invited. I do remember running into the woman who runs the PAC at an AAKP convention, meeting of patients. And what we do is we talk about the patient's point of view. We talk about how to make the information more clearly understood, how to diverse the information so that many, many people know about it. We talk about, what else? What else, Uncle Jim? What do we talk about?
Mostly we talk about polycystic kidney disease and
Yeah,
how it affects us as patients.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about what's going on in terms of research. We talk about what's going on in terms of medications. We talk an awful lot about social media, thank God. Uh, and just about anything that has to do with that's why it threw me, anything that has to do with polycystic kidney disease. But I should have known better, right? Because Gail writes about everything.
Yes, and in the beginning, I did not write about children, dialysis, or transplant. I was that way for maybe 10 years. I felt I didn't know anything about it, and I can't write about it. But then I remembered that when I was acting, I took on roles that I knew nothing about, like the rose tattoo. I was nobody's maiden aunt that was sex starved, but I took on the role. So I could do this too. I mean, it was a matter of research and making sure that the research was attributed so that people got the proper credit. And also if someone had questions, they knew where to go.
Okay. Let's talk about, let me put it this way. Have you had any other kidney advocacy experiences that you can talk to us about that you're doing outside of your research and your writing?
Very little for the last 6 or 7 years. I've had, I call it a bad spot. I've gone from pancreatic cancer to a hip replacement. My husband has Alzheimer's and he needs back surgery. So pretty much I stay in my office. I have, talk about immunology problems. I'm not a transplant, but I don't have a spleen. And between the diabetes and the CKD and how no spleen, I'm highly susceptible, which is why we're having a meeting in California and I will be going virtually.
Okay. Let's talk about what's coming up in the future for your writing and kidney advocacy that you can tell us about, without revealing confidences.
Well, I work for 2 different pharmaceutical companies, and both are having live meetings. One, as I mentioned, I'll be going virtually, and the other one, when they have their meetings at a different time of year. So when they sort themselves out, I'll be going to that virtually also. I have the book. Well, actually, Slow It Down CKD 2024 won't be out until February of next year because it's not written. That's about it. I'm trying to do everything I can from my office at home.
Okay. What group are you going to California for?
I'm not.
I mean, virtually. I'm sorry.
For the PAC group, I'm not.
Okay. Osaka. All right. Now I understand. I asked this of all my guests to give them a chance to say whatever it is on their mind. Do you have any final statements that you wish to make tonight to our audience about anything that you feel is important?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I used to say this to my high school classes that were, they needed a little humor or they didn't get the message. So what I have to say tonight is, boys and girls, it's really easy. You go and get a blood test. You go and get a urine test. Nothing. Pinches for a minute, and that's it. And then you know if you have to deal with kidney disease or if you're scot-free. Especially if you have diabetes or high blood pressure.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to say?
Yes, I want COVID to go away so I can start being more active. That's personal.
Okay. Don't think I blame you for that.
Mhm.
Well, Gail, I'm out of questions. Just a wonderful broadcast. A lot of great information, and was really fun talking to you. It's amazing the things that you know and you could share with us from your research and your writing. And of course, we wish you continued success in those areas. And I'm looking forward to the new book in February.
I'll try to get something else out, but it probably won't be kidney oriented. One of my books is a time travel romance that's Portal in Time. One of them is the story of my cancer, which is Cancer Dancer. And one of them, I wanted to try humor. So I tried Are You Kidding? And discovered that is not my venue.
Oh,
I laugh, nobody else laughs. Oh, and
well,
Sorting Dark Places. There's another writer that would like me to work on a sequel with her. So we're considering that,
okay. Well, I have some things to button up with our audience, but I've taken almost a full hour of your time.
which I love.
Okay, and so I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna close up the broadcast with our audience, and again, I would like to thank you for coming on. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties and the late start, but I do promise you that I will definitely spend the next week getting the word out and trying to get those numbers for the broadcast up so people see and hear all the wonderful things that you have to say.
Thank you, Uncle Jim. I find it hard to call you Uncle Jim because I'm older than you are, but you're being so avuncular right now that I feel it's right.
That's okay, no problem. I take that name and appreciate it with relish that people consider me to be part of their kidney family. So
Mhm.
it's important to me.
Thank you.
All
This has
right.
definitely been an honor.
It's been an honor to have you. Thank you so much.
You.
I will talk to you soon, Miss Gail.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Good night. Okay, folks, that's our broadcast for this evening. Next week, we have scheduled Kim Constantin Secco. She is a kidney donor. We're going to talk about kidney donation. Kim is a very active kidney donor, very athletic person. So we're going to talk about all the things that she's been doing activity-wise since the time of her kidney donation. And believe me, that'll take up a full hour because she's a very, very busy person. And I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, I apologize for the late start, but it was well worth the wait, as you saw. So be sure you check out the instant replay and watch this space because there's more coming. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye now.